Mabuhay, this is Bob from Love Beyond the Sea. Controversial topic today on my channel, how to ask about your Filipina's past sexual experience. I didn't say should you, I said how to. And this is very important. Please subscribe here and Love Beyond the Sea and leave a comment. I've been married to a Filipina for 9 years, since 2015. And I don't know if this has ever been on your mind, but because of the stereotype of some Filipinas, foreigners interested in them have wondered if they should inquire about the sexual past of a woman they're interested in. Excuse me, I'm making this video because I've come across that. People have asked me. On the one hand, seems like a fair question, simply because you would want to know, because of at least a couple of reasons. One is you might wonder if she has a sexually transmitted disease, STD. Another is if she might be promiscuous. That's why you would ask. You don't want to catch something from her, and you would like to be assured you are marrying someone you can trust. And here are 7 questions to ask, if I can get them done in time, if you are so inclined, to a Filipina from the other side of the world that you don't know all that well yet. And real quick, this will bother some, but it's my opinion that if you're not a virgin, that you shouldn't be avoiding a woman who is also not a virgin. I just think you have to be realistic about that. Of course, it could make a whole nother video about that. If you have lost control with a woman, you should be able to understand how she could lose control with another man. If you are a virgin man, then I hope you can find a virgin woman to marry. But if you're not, I don't know, kind of bothers me that you would insist on somebody that was. So let's go. You can ask her about her views of contraception and abortion. That will reveal some things. Another one, you can ask her if she has ever been molested. Now, this isn't of her choosing, of course, but I think it's appropriate to ask her, because if she has, it's possible she may need some serious counseling, maybe long-term. Maybe she's been trying to suppress it. You can also ask her if she has suffered sexual abuse. Now, these things, they happen, and so I'm talking about them. It's like the other question. I think it's reasonable for her to ask you about things like this, too. She might not bring it up on her own. If she's a victim of abuse, you should know. And she should get counseling if she needs it. There's no reason to assume that she has recovered or even started to deal with that trauma. Another area you could ask, have you been affected by pornography? And it's fair if she asks the same thing. I would hope she hasn't, been affected by porn, but if she has, this could really end up affecting your relationship with her. Here in America, porn use among women is increasing, but I don't know about other countries. Another thing you could ask, please leave comments here. I'm not trying to, be controversial or stir anything up. I'm trying to help. You could ask, how many sexual partners have you had? Don't be timid about this. I would prefer this question to be answered on the woman's initiative. I must admit I would be shy to ask this, but I would want to know. If you are hesitant to ask this question, you might be able to get the answer by revealing your past sexual experiences first and see if she follows suit. Otherwise, just ask her. If you are hesitant to reveal your past, I think you would be withholding information from her that she ought to know. You could ask, well, let's continue here. Now, I think it's fair to say some of you men may have some qualms about asking this normally private question. Some of you might not. But I'm bringing it up because it could be on the mind of a foreigner wanting to marry a Filipina who thinks it's wrong to ask. So I'm just giving you a head start. It is not wrong to ask. I believe going into a marriage that there can't be anything that either one of you is, ashamed or unwilling to talk about. Marriage is a big deal. You want to know what you can know. Uncomfortable? Of course, but after marriage is not the time to discover something that you consider a deal breaker. Even before asking a question like this, you'll need to be able to tell her why it concerns you. And you could say something like, you haven't given me any indication you are a promiscuous woman, and I am serious about you. I don't expect you to be perfect. I've certainly done things that I shouldn't have. But can you please tell me if you have been sexually active with other men? That's all you have to do. I won't leave you if you say that you have had other guys, but I would feel better feeling like I know you well enough to ask you this question. Does that sound fair? Does that sound doable? I'm asking you now that question. Another thing you could ask was if she's been tested for STDs or HIV. And when someone told me once that they were going to ask the Filipina prospect to get tested for STDs, I had to think about that one for a while. I was kind of put off at first. I certainly understood his concern, but what I was wondering was if there was a good way to go about asking that. I don't think you have to be concerned about how she takes it. It is a sensible question to ask, no matter where the woman lives. If she has no sexual past, she should be proud of that, not ashamed of it, and not ashamed if she does have a sexual past, but she should be willing to address his concerns. We're all weak. Be proud if you have survived temptation, and if you have, be willing to admit that and see that it was wrong and be able to address the concerns that the foreigner has. It works both ways. As a Christian, I believe in forgiveness. It's a good way to show forgiveness, right off the bat, maybe before you've even met her in person. If a woman took exception to being asked about her past, I would understand, but I think it's something that's critical for someone, and they need to discuss it if it's really important to the guy. Another one, the last one I'll have time for. Would you be willing to go in for testing again before we get more involved, furthering the relationship? If I was asked this question, I would immediately say, yeah, sure. If we had already talked about our pasts and I thought we were done talking about it, I might be a little miffed, but I would still say yes. Saying no, I think would just make me look guilty, and passing the test would show her I don't have an STD. I would take care of that. Refusing to, again, would make me look guilty. And of course, this is a sensitive question, but I think one is a fair question. And again, leave a comment here on some of these things. You may have to go listen to it again just to be sure you're hearing what you think you're hearing, because you don't hear this every day. Now, my hope would be that two adults would simply understand that this is something you would want to know. Not because she lives in another country, but, where there happens to be a stereotype that Filipinas are easy and many have good morals, but because people are people. We are all sinners, and the sexual temptation is at the top of the list, I believe, for most men and women. If you are hesitant to ask the Filipina a question about her sexual past, could it be that you don't want her to do the same? If you're not willing to talk to her about your past, if she inquires, she is likely to move on. If it's important to her, you would probably do the same thing. If this is a concern to you, I encourage you to engage her about it without fear. There shouldn't be anything off limits with your potential love beyond the sea.